Picture a perfectly normal Tuesday morning. People are walking their dogs, pouring their coffee, and waiting for the bus. Everything is exactly where it belongs, held firmly to the pavement. Now imagine that invisible anchor keeping our world grounded simply switches off. Not forever, just for 10 seconds. Gravity is an active, relentless force. It is the tether keeping the moon in its orbit, our oceans in their basins, and the very air we breathe pressed against the Earth. It is tempting to view this scenario as a fun, weightless break from reality, something akin to a theme park ride, but terrestrial physics is uncompromising. Without that downward pull, the Earth's rapid rotation acts like a global centrifuge, instantly casting everything into a chaotic, unanchored orbit. Now, the 10-second doomsday clock is officially ticking. At second zero, panic sets in immediately. Across every major city, pedestrians, cars, and loose debris begin to drift up from the asphalt. These objects aren't being pushed into the sky. Because the Earth is rotating at over 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, your own momentum carries you in a straight line, while the curved surface of the planet falls away from beneath you. This sudden drift becomes an immediate crisis at 30,000 feet. Inside commercial flights, unsecured passengers, luggage, and heavy carts slam into the ceiling. This diagram shows the 4 forces keeping that plane stable: lift, thrust, drag, and weight. The moment the downward weight vector disappears, the aircraft loses its physical equilibrium. The pilots lose all mechanical leverage to control the plane's pitch or altitude. Any initial sense of wonder vanishes. You have lost all physical agency, trapped in a vehicle that can no longer navigate the sky. By second 4, the crisis reaches the massive bodies of water covering 70% of the globe. Fluid dynamics rely on gravity to settle and contain liquids. When that pull vanishes, the oceans experience total hydrostatic pressure loss, and the water begins to lift away from the Earth's crust. Billions of gallons of water detach from the seabed. Waves that were about to crash on the shore begin shooting straight up into the sky. For marine life, the ocean floor effectively vanishes. Coastal fish and predators are swept upward in a rising, weightless slurry, struggling to navigate a liquid environment that no longer has a surface or a bottom. The planet is now losing its ability to contain its most vital resources. In 6 seconds, the oceans have become a vertical, airborne hazard. As we hit second 7, the scale of the disaster reaches the invisible blanket of gas enveloping our world. This diagram illustrates the immense mass of our atmosphere, a heavy layer of gas compressed against the surface by downward-pointing gravity vectors. When that pressure vanishes, those atmospheric particles rapidly expand and scatter outward toward the vacuum of space. This sudden decompression triggers violent pressure differentials. The air doesn't just drift, it rushes outward in chaotic, high-velocity bursts. Howling, unpredictable winds tear through the streets. Because buildings, cars, and people are already untethered, they offer zero resistance to these massive gusts. At second 9, the planet is consumed by peak chaos. The air, the water, and our urban centers have become a churning storm of unanchored debris. In less time than it takes to tie your shoe, our highly structured planetary system has dissolved into a violent debris field. And then, second 10 arrives. Gravity snaps back on with full, immediate force. The physics completely reverse. Everything that spent the last 10 seconds drifting into the sky is instantly converted into a falling projectile. Millions of tons of displaced water, vehicles, and raw debris stop hovering and plummet directly back to the surface, slamming into the ground. The kinetic energy unleashed by this mass impact crushes global infrastructure. Highways are permanently blocked by falling cars, and power grids are wiped out by the sheer weight of the returning debris. The return of gravity is the most lethal part of the experiment. The drift creates the height. The sudden snapback provides the kinetic energy to level cities. The violent crash gives way to an eerie, static silence. Across a heavily damaged global landscape, emergency response systems are overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the wreckage. Gravity is a hyperactive, invisible shield that spends every second pinning chaos to the ground. This thought experiment reveals the immense, fragile balance of our universe. A single constant, humming perfectly in the background, is the only thing keeping our physical reality intact. So the next time you drop your keys, or feel the heavy impact of your feet hitting the pavement, take a moment to appreciate that invisible anchor.
It is the only reason we get to stand still.